Hey guys, Alicia here. Today I'm excited to be doing a viewer request recipe video. And that is gonna be for pumpkin chocolate chip whoopie pies. This was requested by Lisa. She said that she makes a, we'll just call it not so healthy version of these, and she'd like to see a healthier version. So that's what I'm gonna be trying to do today. As always, I love when you guys send me requests or send me recipes to do videos on. It's always a lot of fun. If you have any that you would like to send in to me or any requests of things you'd like to see, I will have my Instagram and my email information pinned in the comments section below on this video. Please contact me and send me your recipes or ideas. So let me jump in here and show you what you're gonna need to make these. You're gonna need a cup of all-purpose flour. You're gonna need a cup of 100% pure pumpkin, not the pumpkin pie filling. You're also gonna need a light butter spread. I'm gonna be using this Brummel and Brown. You're gonna need 8 tablespoons, and that's gonna be divided. In here, I've got a teaspoon baking soda, teaspoon pumpkin pie spice, and a half teaspoon of salt. You're gonna need 2 large eggs. And for sweetener, I'm gonna be using this Truvia brown sugar blend again. I've used this several times now, and I actually really kind of like it. As I always say, I'm not the biggest fan of the sugar substitutes. I've tried so many of them, and I just don't really care for them for the most part. But this one is not bad, and probably because it is a sugar blend, which is probably why I like it, I should say. Now, that being said, in order to keep this recipe low enough in points today, I'm also gonna be trying out in the frosting for the first time this Swerve confectioner sugar replacement. I've heard a lot of people talk about the Swerve being a good product as far as the sugar replacements go, and this is one I haven't tried out yet. And as I said, this is a recipe where I kind of need to use a sugar replacement in order to keep the points low enough to where it's worth it. So I am gonna be using this today in the frosting. I'm interested to see what I think of this. For the chocolate chips today, I'm gonna be trying out these lilies, which I've also heard a lot of good things about and have not tried. And these actually aren't a huge difference point-wise from your regular semi-sweet baking chips, but they are a little lower, and so I'm gonna be using these too, because why not, since I'm using all the other sugar substitutes today. So I'm gonna be using about 1 ounce of these, 4 ounces or a half brick of 1/3 less fat cream cheese. I'm just using this Great Value. And then I'm gonna be using a 1/4 cup of this jet puffed marshmallow cream, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and again, as I've already mentioned, the Swerve. I'm gonna be using a cup of this. And that is everything that you're gonna need to make this, so let's get started. So first thing, in a mixer, I'm gonna be taking my eggs and a 1/3 cup of this Truvia brown sugar blend. So I've got a 1/3 cup packed in there. And now I'm gonna whip the 2 of these together on medium speed for probably about 3 minutes until it kind of gets a little light and fluffy. And while my eggs and sugar are mixing, I'll go ahead and do up my dry ingredients. So I'm gonna add in my cup of flour in a bowl, and my baking soda, pumpkin pie spice, and salt. And I'm gonna just mix all of this together real well. Like that, and then I'm gonna set that aside. And now I'm gonna take 4 tablespoons of my Brummel and Brown, and I'm gonna get that melted. I let those eggs and sugar whip together for probably about 4 minutes actually. So now I'm gonna add in my melted Brummel and Brown and my 1 cup of pumpkin. And I'm gonna mix all this together until it is combined. I'm also gonna get my oven preheating at 350 right now. Okay, that looks good. So now I'm gonna slowly pour in my flour mixture. And I'm gonna let that mix until that's all incorporated. Okay, That is looking good. So now I'm gonna fold in my 1.5 ounces of chocolate chips. I think I said 1 ounce in the when I was going over the ingredients, but I'm doing 1.5. So I'm gonna just fold those in, and really mini chips would work on this better, but I don't know if the Lily's has mini chips or not. Let me know in the comments if you know. Okay, that looks good. So now I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it in a piping bag. Now, if you don't have a piping bag, you can just use like a Ziploc bag and just cut the corner off of it, and that works really well too. But I'm gonna use a piping bag because I do have those. I have a sheet here that I put a piece of parchment paper on, and I've got all of my batter in this pastry bag. I'm gonna try to get 18 of these on here. I kind of debated on what size to make these. Weight Watchers has a chocolate whoopie pie recipe, and they are doing theirs like really tiny. And like I always say, I don't like having teeny tiny little desserts, so I think I'm going to double the size of what they do theirs and go for 9 instead of 18 total, which means I need to have 18 total cookies in order to make the 9 sandwiches. So that was very long-winded to tell you that I'm going to be trying to do 18 individual little cookies on here. I'm not sure exactly how much that's going to be, so I'm going to just kind of start out and put these on here. Okay, so I've got 18 on here now, and I've got just a tiny little bit of batter left, so I'm going to go back and add to any that maybe look a little small. Just try to get these all as even in size as possible. Okay, I've got these as even as I'm gonna get them. So now I'm gonna put them in my preheated oven at 350, and I'm gonna start them baking at 10 minutes, and I'm gonna just kind of go from there because, again, I have never done these before, so I'm not sure how long they're gonna take. But we'll start at 10 and check them then. Okay, these have been going for 12 minutes. I kind of tested them by pressing on them and they kind of bounced back. So I'm assuming they're done. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull them out, and then I'm gonna let them sit for an additional 5 minutes, and then I will remove them and put them on a cooling rack. Here I've got my cookies cooling on this cooling rack. Again, I just left them on the baking sheet for about 5 minutes, remove them, and I'm gonna let them just completely cool on here now. For my frosting, I'm gonna take 4 ounces of that cream cheese, and you want this softened. I don't think I said that when I was going over the ingredients, or else it's not going to mix very well. And then I'm gonna add in my 1/4 cup of the marshmallow cream, teaspoon vanilla, cup of that Swerve powdered sugar. And that is a cup to cup replacement when it comes to replacing regular sugar. I forgot to show adding in the 4 tablespoons of Brummel and Brown, but I did that, and now I am just mixing everything together real well until it looks like this. These are completely cooled, so now I'm gonna flip half of them over, and I'm gonna pipe this frosting on them. I'm gonna try to get an equal amount, or as close to an equal amount on each one as I can. And just like with the batter, I've got a little extra, so I'm gonna go ahead and evenly distribute that amongst these. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and top each one of these with another cookie. And apparently I can't count to 9, so I ended up filling 10 of these, not 9. So I'm gonna go ahead and scoop the filling off one of them and use that as top. Here they are, 7 of them anyway. I still have 2 of them over on the cooling rack. Now these are going to be 7 points a piece on the green plan. I still need to double check the blue and purple and see what they are on there, which sounds a little high to me just looking at them. I haven't tried them yet, but you know, not the lowest. I wish they had come in a little bit lower than that because it's still, like I said, a little bit high. But obviously this is going to be a whole lot lower than your traditional ones, so there is that. I'll have my hubby try them and see what he thinks. I feel like I'm always saying this, that I'm fasting right now, but I am. It's only 10:30, so I've got another couple hours at least before I eat. But I will definitely add what I think of these too on the end of this. Yeah, they look really good and they smell really good too. So we'll have my hubby try them and see what he thinks and whether they're worth 7 points or not. All right, go ahead.
Those are pretty.
They are pretty.
Let's see this one. Now, have you made these kind of cookies before?
No.
They seem familiar to me.
I just kind of like, I was looking at different recipes online and I just kind of came up with that out of the different ones that I saw.
What? Okay.
I have done a lot of different pumpkin things though, so it probably is very similar to something else I've done.
So those cookies, I'm going to call them cookies.
They are cookies.
They're awesome.
Okay.
Just really nice pumpkin flavor. I like the chocolate chips with the pumpkin. The filling, sorry.
Oh no, you're fine.
The filling it tastes good as far as the flavor goes, but that is like punch you in the throat sweet.
Okay, so that is the Swerve Confectioner's Substitute.
Ooh,
Not a fan.
potent. It's potent.
It's potent.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be cup for cup. And so if you were to make a cream cheese frosting,
Oh yeah. Well, that just hits you.
I mean, I basically just use the same amount I would use if I was using powdered sugar.
Yeah, and so I have a real sensitivity, so like to cake.
Like frosting store-bought?
Frosting.
Oh yeah,
Like
you.
it does something to the back of my mouth, and so I have a sensitivity, and this is like that magnified.
Okay.
I think that, I mean, honestly, if you'd have just taken marshmallow spread and put it on there, this would be
Okay.
just right on, because you also have the sweetness from the chocolate chips.
Okay, so we're not a fan of the Swerve Confectioner's Sugar, is what we're saying.
Absolutely not.
And I'll be really curious now to see what I think of this, and I will definitely let you guys know. Because again, I've never used it before, and I just don't really care for the sugar-free. Apparently he doesn't either.
I mean, again though, the cookies are great.
Cookies
it's
are great.
Not a bad flavor. It's like crazy sweet.
Okay, so what I would say then, before I even try these myself, is if you are not a fan of the sugar substitutes, as my husband clearly is not, and I'm not either, honestly, and you don't like super, super sweet stuff, then I would just go with purely the marshmallow cream. And I almost did that, to be honest, but then I was like, well, pumpkin, cream cheese sounds good with pumpkin. So I thought I would go the cream cheese route. Apparently that was a mistake, at least for this guy right here. But that is good to know. The cookies are good.
So that right there tastes awesome.
The cookie.
The cookie
with that just tiny
much
little
on there,
bit.
to me, to my palate.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying then is if maybe you cut the frosting in half, it might be good too. No?
I'm not getting the same reaction at all with just that little bit on there. So yeah, I think that would be one way to do it if you wanted to stay with that particular sweetener.
Okay.
Is to just reduce the amount that's on there.
So now,
again, if you're sensitive to sweet.
Now, that being said, I will go ahead and factor these with half the amount of frosting then too, and let you guys know what that would be point-wise. Just for fun, because again, obviously he's not a fan of the frosting, but you are a fan of the cookies.
Oh, huge fan.
Okay. All right. Well, I got it half right.
2/3 right.
Two-thirds. Oh yeah, 2/3. That is my version of pumpkin chocolate chip whoopie pies. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and Lisa, I hope you enjoyed this too, since you were the one that wanted to see these. Not sure how you feel about this oversweet stuff, but anyway, like I said, there's options for these. This is the first time I've ever done this, but I'm gonna call it a partial success. And the next time I do these, I'm gonna do it with just probably the marshmallow cream. All right, guys. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you on the next one. So I tried these, and the cookie part of them I thought were absolutely delicious. Loved them. Loved the pumpkin with the chocolate. Very, very good. The frosting was good at the first taste, but then I'm gonna have to agree with my hubby on the fact that it was just way too sweet, like over the top sweet, which was a little confusing because that Swerve confectioner's sugar replacement is supposed to be, well, it's supposed to measure cup per cup, just like regular sugar. And I used the same amount I would use if I was making this frosting with regular confectioner's sugar, but it was definitely super, super sweet. So my take on the Swerve is that it is much sweeter than the regular sugar, even though it's not supposed to be. So a couple things there. I would say you can either cut the frosting in half, and that would make it a whole lot less frosting, so therefore less sweet. And that's gonna put these at 6 points a piece. Or you could use just much less of the Swerve. Just kind of start off with a half cup or so and see if that's sweet enough for you. So that would be what I would suggest if you want to use that filling, because I think the filling is good. It's just way too sweet, at least for us. The other suggestion is, as we said, to just use marshmallow cream. Now I went ahead and tried these with just the marshmallow cream. I used about a cup, which I actually think was too much because they ended up being super, super messy. I would say you probably only need to use about a tablespoon of the marshmallow cream on each one of these, and that would be enough. But anywhere from a half cup to a whole cup of marshmallow cream factored into the recipe is gonna put them at 6 points a piece also. So I just wanted to kind of add that in here, give you some options, because the cookies themselves are really good. And like I said, the filling with the cream cheese is really good. It's just way too sweet. I'll have to play around with that Swerve a little bit more and see if it's something that I'm even wanting to use or if it's just way too sweet. I also had kind of a weird like tingling on my tongue from it. I don't know if anybody else has experienced that, but again, I'm not a fan of these artificial sweeteners, and this is just kind of an example of why. They just don't cut it for me. But if you like them, that's great, and you would probably be totally fine with this filling too. So anyway, that's just my take. I wanted to add the couple options in there for you. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks as always for watching, and thanks again to Lisa for requesting this video.